Back here at Michigan International Speedway at the Firestone Indy 400, all 27 laps have been led by car number 27. Dario Franchitti, our points leader. Remember, you do pick up 3 bonus points for leading the most laps of the race. So Scott Dixon, number 2 in the points, currently 4th on the racetrack. I'm sure he's thinking of that.
Well, there's no doubt he's very much aware of that, because drivers are always adding up the points inside the cockpit, especially the championship contenders. There's no doubt that's going through his mind as this race continues.
Whoa! And we've had a crash, and it looks like it is the 19 of John Herb. John had already gone to a total of 3 laps down, and he had a crash earlier the weekend during practice, nowhere near as wicked as this one.
Now, he's already contacted the wall. You can see that the rear wing is off the car.
So at lap 29, we pick up our first caution.
Hey, John, can you hear me?
You can see the steering wheel is coming off the car. And once he has the steering wheel off the car, then he cannot transfer back to the pit lane itself. And there he is. He looks like he's a little bit high coming off the turn. But it's interesting there, because I see parts are actually off the car already, Marty, before he has impacted the wall. So it makes me wonder if something is broken on the car that sent him up there, because he did not look like he had impacted the wall at that point in time, unless he's actually hit it before we started to see that replay. But we'll have to have a look at that.
Delphi safety team is on the scene, and we can point out the fewest cautions we've ever had here is 2. And that was just last year. The most is only 5. That was the first year the series ran here back in 2002. Pits are still closed, but it'll allow everybody to stop under yellow as we were approaching the first round of green flag stops. We were thinking somewhere around lap 30. Brianne, what's the word from Dario's pit?
Well, the mood down here, Marty, is ecstatic. I talked to John Anderson just shortly after Dario stalled his car, and he, with that usual smirk on his face, patted me on the back and said in his Australian accent, "We're in no rush, darling." But I've got to tell you, they are clapping down here, and a good thing, too. Dario's family is here this weekend. His mother is attending her first race of the season, as well as his sister visiting from Scotland.
We got
there's a crash.
Yellow on the racetrack as we've had another crash. The cars involved Helio Castroneves for the 4th time this year, and neither car can come to a stop as they make contact again. And I'm still trying to figure out who that is in the other car. It's Vitor Meira. It is. It's Meira. The whole right side of the car, couldn't tell the paint scheme. It's all gone.
We talked about the jockeying that was going on in this D-shaped oval out in the front section here. And right now, remember, he's got no voice. He might be yelling. Vitor can't hear him.
Well, it's been a season that Helio Castroneves is going to want to forget. He has the 1 win back at St. Petersburg, but now 4 crashes. Milwaukee, Texas, Watkins Glen here. And he's just telling these guys, leave me alone. Just let me blow some steam. Of course, the rules require him to make the visit to the infield care center. Let's go back and take another look, see what happened. Here we go.
Vitor Meira on the high side and Helio on the low side, and there they are. They just touched. Now, Helio looks like he just moved up the road just a small amount, and for certain, you want Vitor Meira's following the road itself. He wants to come around. Now, this is at the top side of our screen. That's not as good of a replay as the one we just saw a moment ago. If we can go back and show the previous one, let's have a look at that one again, because obviously the 2 cars are going through the D-shaped oval side by side. Now, let's see what happens. It looks like they're even. Vitor's coming down, trying to follow the road, maybe makes a move down, and then the Penske car just makes a move up towards the wall, just a small amount, and then they come together. And anytime the tires touch like that, that's why we saw those skid marks from the middle of the road going towards the wall itself.
Well, the race off pit road was won by Dan Weldon. He picks up 4 spots, moves to the head of the heap. Dario Franchitti is 2nd. Kanaan comes back out in 3rd. Marco Andretti picks up 3. The big loser here, Thomas Scheckter, he drops back from 2nd to 6th. out of those in the top 10 on the race off pit road. Now, the reason we are under yellow, our 4th of the day, is because of this crash by Sarah Fisher.
And you can see by the middle of turns 1 and turn 2, she was down by the lower end of the apex, right down in the middle of the 2 turns, and the car swapped ends on her and then went up towards the wall. We didn't see the section just before she got to the point that the car released underneath her, but we saw the impact. So we'll have to see if we can find out what exactly happened to her. Now, the telemetry information will tell the team that if there was something breaking on the car, a suspension piece or something of that nature, they will be able to tell that by the multitude of math channels that are on the telemetry system.
She has moved herself up to 4th. She's duking it out with Weldon for 5th. Now, she did get an assist, as we mentioned, from Tony when Kanaan had to lift.
Well, anytime you can take advantage of anybody else's misfortune, even a teammate, you're going to go ahead and do that. But give her credit, boy, she's really gelled with this team so far this year with Andretti Green Racing. She's been competitive at most of the events this year. Surprised us at Mid-Ohio with her qualifying in the top 6 for what they call the Fast 6 shootout. And she is aggressive. Born not far away in Roscoe, Illinois, just 25 years old. Said that she would love to win here, but she said, you know something? Oh,
Look out! Got a crash hard into the wall. That is Darren Manning here on lap 113.
that was a huge, huge crash, guys. That was hard into the wall.
You okay, Dan?
A little movement inside the cockpit.
What happened there?
Throws the steering wheel out, so yes, you know he's alert. And this is a time, Marty, when you're sitting inside the car, you wiggle your toes, you move your hands, and make sure everything's still functioning, because it's such a hard hit like this. He certainly felt that.
AJ Foyt looking on. Of course, each team has a monitor. They can see what we see. Delphi safety team checking out Darren before they let him get out of the car. And let's go back and take another look.
Now you can see he's just behind a group of cars. Did something happen to the car? Was the car a little bit loose? That's where the back end seems to always want to come around on you. And maybe the dirty air, disturbed air from all the cars that were in front just made the car loose enough that the back end spun around and took him towards the wall. And once that car starts to spin like that, you are then just a passenger. And watch his hand when this car hits the wall. The tire comes up. It's coming inside the cockpit. Now watch the tire come down and watch his hand. He's got his hand in the cockpit. He's trying to push the tire out from the cockpit.
Taking one more look, this first angle that we had.
Remember, this is at 215, 218 miles an hour. He knows the car is gone. He locks up the brakes, tries to slow it down as much as possible, but you are just along for the ride.
All right, we're getting word that the pits are open, and still waiting to see, and it looks like Darren is out of the car, and looks to be a-okay as they put him in the Delphi safety vehicle and take him to the infield care center. We'll get an update.
You hear all that information coming in from the spotters and the team managers. But what happens inside the cockpit, as we see Kanaan now trying the low line going underneath Scheckter, is that you get into traffic, you start to turn the car, the steering wheel gets light. Do you turn it more? Do you just leave it and have the car return to you? All these feelings the drivers are going through each and every turn throughout here, just like it's a normal day's drive down to the office.
Well, Danica has caught up to Dario. Danica has gotten in lockstep with him. We're going to find out if it's going to be able to push him to the lead, because here they go, as it is right down low with Dan Weldon, Dario and Danica on the high side. And here comes Marco. Oh, look out! Airborne! Franchini's upside down. Dixon is involved. The wheels touched. Weldon is involved.
Airborne up here got up into the pit. We got him coming down. Copy that. Scott, you okay?
Looks like Sam Hornish also involved. And right now, folks,
Yeah, he got hit in the head.
think good thoughts. The Delphi
Scott,
safety crew is
We'll fix it.
heading for Dario. And from this angle, obviously, we can't see a thing.
We've seen Marco Andretti get airborne and go over this year, but not at the speed.
Remember, we're lapping
this type of impact that Dario had.
between 215 and 218.
These cars are built just like a jet fighter. They are so strong. The roll bars in them themselves are very strong. We've seen this before where the cars go over, land on the roll bar. Once they right the car, the driver just pops out, brushes himself off, and sometimes wishes he had a spare car to hop in to keep going.
We saw a shot of Thomas Scheckter. He had already pulled into pit lane, and there he is. And they are bringing Dario's car over, and they're going to try and bring it down very gently.
These cars weigh 1,525 pounds. Sam Hornish is at the back of the car. And there's Dario taking the steering wheel off, will unbuckle his 6-way harness.
This is incredible. The integrity of the cockpit of this car. Guys, start breathing easy. Your guy's okay.
You saw his team just a moment ago start to see him get out of the car and start to applaud.
There's Scott Dixon. He was out. He comes over to check Dario. So we should tell you that right now we are down to 7 cars running as a result of this 6-car crash, because we had other incidents throughout the day. So let's go back and take a look at this and watch the wheels.
Now the left rear of the car on top, 27 car, and then the car on the right front wheel of Dan Weldon. Looked like Dan was just trying to move up towards the right just a little bit, and his right front wheel on his target machine got the Canadian Club machine up in the air. And see everything else going on there. The parts are just strewn everywhere, and the real lucky guy in this, Marty, I think really was Thomas Scheckter, because of everything coming down on top of his car. He could end up having the car land right inside the cockpit.
Also, watch Scott Dixon. He almost had the same situation. Watch the 9 car come in here.
Up and over.
See right there. I mean,
absolutely.
Wow.
Actually, it's the 22 of
AJ
AJ
Foyt,
Foyt, not Thomas Scheckter, excuse me.
I mean, those 2 guys, very, very fortunate.
Remember, this is 215, 218 miles an hour.
It goes right up and over the 9 car.
Now, I've been upside down before, and I'll tell you, it's the most eerie thing because it's quiet. There's no longer any road noise. You're not going along the road surface whatsoever. You get in the air, and yes, there's some crashing that's going on before you get in the air, but when you're in the air, it's very, very quiet, and then you come down to just a flurry of noise when the car makes impact back down with the ground.
Take one more look at it. Now keep an eye on Dixon coming in right here. See what I mean?
Oh.
That is so close, so close. And then right over on top of AJ the 4th. 2 very lucky guys. Well, 6 very lucky guys.
Remember the speed that we spoke about, 218, maybe even 20 miles an hour now going down there. And we're just talking about touching just for a moment. The 2 tires get together, and as soon as the rubber tires touch each other, the cars are off. And we talk about the drivers having no control at that point in time, and then you're just a passenger. And the weird thing is for drivers too, coming up from behind, is that you see the car upside down. Now here is something you don't generally see very often because cars are not usually upside down, but look at the damage. Sam Hornish in his Team Penske Marlboro suit that he's got going on right there at the very back of the car is there to help also. Wow.
And then this was the best sight of all when we saw Dario take off the steering wheel. All right, let's get back to what we have out on the racetrack.